veterans as part of our veteran service. And today we have someone with us. What's your name, please?
Ted Lucas.
And where do you live, Ted?
Over on Clay Hill on Eldridge Street.
All right. Would you tell us a little, by the way, were you born in Hoosick Falls? Did you live here all your life? Or?
All my life.
All right.
I was born in March of 1928. And outside of leaving the country for World War II, I've lived here all my life.
All right. Would you tell us a little about, before you went to the service, what you did? When you graduated, where you went to school, and so forth?
I graduated in June of '42.
Where'd you graduate from?
From Hoosick Falls.
From Hoosick Falls Central
Well,
School. Well, it was the Hoosick Falls High School.
Hoosick Falls High, right.
Yeah.
In June, that was in June of '42, the week before graduation, we went down to the Waterville Arsenal to apply because they were screaming for help, machine operators, with the war coming on. And while going through high school, they had a defense course, and there were several of the older men that worked in the arsenal. After school hours were giving machine training and machine operating training, which was great, and I love to do anything with my hands anyway. So I did that, and then when I went down, we went down to Waterville to apply for a job there. They wanted my history and what did I know, you know. Well, I'm only 18 years old, so
Right.
you can't know too much, but they were real interested in what I'm telling them, and they said, this was Thursday or Friday before graduation, they says, be here Monday morning, 8 o'clock sharp, you know. I says, oh God, I said, Monday is, we graduate from high school, I says, I'd like to participate in it and not miss it, so, they says, well, okay, but make sure you're here Tuesday morning then at 8 o'clock. I says, okay. I'll be there, and sure enough, graduation night, everybody, all the kids were out celebrating a little bit, you know, trying to have a good time. I had to go home, go to bed so I can get up at 6 o'clock the next morning and go to work. So I did, and I worked there for a year. And then, of course, my draft number came up, and well, they did hold me for 3 months. They deferred me for 3 months because they just didn't, the arsenal didn't want to let go anyone that was
doing
the
there were a
work.
lot of people down that I've interviewed that worked there in the same story. Yeah.
Yeah. After 3 months, that was it. They says, oh, you've got to go. So anyway, I was drafted in January of '43. So, anyway, we started out, went through induction center and off to boot camp, and where was that? Miami Beach, Florida.
Yeah, a lot of Air Force, yeah.
The Air Force, that's where their basic training was. The civilians moved out, and the Air Force moved in without touching a thing to the buildings or surroundings. We couldn't believe it. Into these hotels,
Yeah.
plush carpets, you know, an inch deep. Everything is glimming glitter and glass and shiny silver, you know. And I remember my first letter home. Hey, if this is the service,
It's all right with me.
I don't know whether I'm coming back home or not.
Yeah. All right, so
But
how long did you
anyway,
spend in Miami?
That was just a good start. Yeah,
Yeah.
Miami, right on the beach, you know.
Yeah.
For calisthenics, you're out on the beach, swimming, along with the people, the rest of the people that were down just below us, and yeah, 15th and Collins. I'll never forget it, on the corner of the hotel. But anyway, from there, well, then it was changed. We went out to Salt Lake City, Utah, out in the desert. The next letter is, I've changed my mind. I guess maybe I will come back. So anyway, from
Well, what
there,
were you assigned to in Salt Lake City? What were you doing there?
it was just all part of the assembling of the groups that were needed. They were building new these
Air wing
bomb groups,
yeah.
fighter groups, so on in the Air Force. And well, they probably read. I worked in an arsenal, you know, for a year prior to going in. Well, we want him in ordnance.
I see.
So that's how
You got
probably how I
Air
got
Force
in,
ordnance.
got into the Air Force.
All right. So what happened after Salt Lake City?
Well, Salt Lake City, from there to Dyersburg, Tennessee. That was a B-17 outfit. We started our training there. From there to Alamogordo, New Mexico. That was a B-24 outfit. So it looked like we were going to end up with 24s. We had to learn everything about the whole procedure, the munitions, the bombs, everything how military functions or the Air Force functions.
And your job was to get the bombs, so you load the planes and everything?
Right. The bombs, the ammunition, the 50 caliber machine guns. It was our duty to have those planes
ready to go.
Ready for takeoff the next morning at daylight.
I see.
And so most of our work was at night.
I see. So you're in the United States yet? You're getting with these bomb groups, and then what happened?
From there, we assembled and we headed for Newport News, Rhode Island, to ship out for overseas. And that was 1st of December of '43. From there, we started out, and all the crossings had to be done in convoy, because the German submarines were still pretty active in the North Atlantic and along the whole coast. And that's where we had ships,
Torpedo.
Your cruisers and destroyers and escorting us.
Yeah, destroy escorts, the whole work.
And there was one casualty as we came closer to the African coast. We lost one ship. We didn't see it. It was up. The convoy was up. It was a monstrous convoy, and it was so big, but.
I see.
Word got around that
one ship
was lost. We said, God, we hope man, this isn't number 2 that we're
right.
So we made it safely.
Yeah, and where did you land?
We landed in Bari, Italy, on the Asiatic side.
Yeah.
And the Germans had just bombed or hit a munition ship that was in that port the week before we landed. So, I don't know, there was some espionage work there somewhere. How did they know which ship out of all of them that were coming in there was the munition ship? But somehow they found, and when that blew, it just annihilated the whole harbor.
Wally Davidonis was on his way to Bari when that ship blew up. He was on a munition ship bringing in ammunition on a merchant marine.
Oh wow!
In Bari to Bari.
He would know.
Yeah, he told that story.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Well, anyway, we finally got to the dock. New Year's Eve, December 31st. It was about middle of the afternoon. We unload. We're on. They made a temporary dock just to get us off of that thing and get us to whatever base we're going to be assigned to. In fact, we were assigned to a big olive orchard, and there was not much of a base there. But the Corps of Engineers were already ahead of us, and they were building the airstrips and the bunkers for the planes. It was a systematic affair that really worked. I mean, they were on. There was no monkeying around.
I guess not. This was real business.
Oh, it was real business, and they made every hour count.
Yeah. So they got the field ready, and
they got the field ready.
And what kind of planes flew out of there?
24s.
B-24s.
Yeah. That's what we ended up with in Alamogordo, and that's what we were going to be assigned to.
Okay. Now, this was after Anzio and everything, so the Germans were pushed up.
Yeah, not far.
Not too far.
No, it wasn't very far behind. They were pushed up ahead of us. They were, well, I don't know whether they were still in Rome or just being pushed out of Rome. So they weren't.
I see. So, all right, so now you're stayed there at the same base for a while, loading planes?
We were there for the duration.
I see.
We were anchored there. And our base grew bigger, and as more planes were being built, Rosie the Riveter, you know, was over here really
and
working.
the planes were really
overtime.
coming in, and they were making a real big airfield there.
Everything kept expanding as much as possible. So our group grew, and the squadrons increased in number of planes. So anyway, from there, well, we were in the position. We were close to Romania, the oil fields. We were close, well, relatively close for the bombers. It was,
right.
I mean, they could reach it all. We could reach all kind of targets in Germany, there, in Munich. The ball bearing plants, all the essential places that Hitler needed to keep his war machine.
Right. And what you did nights, you would, when the planes came back, you would get them all ready for the next day from an ordnance point of view from the Munich.
Nice part of that is we could go to early chow for supper because we had to work through till midnight.
I see. How long would it take you to get a plane that came back and get it so it was ready to go with bombs and munitions?
Well, that's, everyone, of course, is a little different. It depended on the mission, what size bombs they're going to need, 100 pounders, 250, 500. In
other words, an order would come out.
Oh yeah, we had it ordered when we went out on the field.
And then you would get those planes ready for that type of bombing that they were going to do.
When we first started, we had to work in the dark.
I see.
With, I mean, but because there were several threats. German planes did fly over in
strafe
our field. Yeah, they knew where we were because they were building a little mess hall for us, so we didn't have to eat under the olive tree on our lap. And Rose, oh gosh, what was her name now? It wasn't Axis Sally.
Yeah.
We listened to her every day. She played the best music you're going to, Glenn Miller's, Benny Goodman's, everything that we wanted to hear, you know, and they thought they were demoralizing us.
They're making it feel
better.
better.
They're making us better. Hey, we could listen, that's what we'd go home to listen to. So anyway,
so you did that.
There, they built us this little mess hall in one day. She's talking about, you guys in the 450th, don't sleep too soundly at night. We know about your new mess hall being built, or that you have. He says, and just maybe we'll be able to do something about it, you know.
I see.
Well, that did make the guys a little bit leery, but and there was a few days after that, there was air alarm went off, you know, air attack, but we heard them, but they weren't over the field. They were just far enough away. Maybe they had a different target assigned to them, and it wasn't our mess hall. Our mess hall survived.
Good. All right, so you did that. You were in that base right through the time when you got shipped home?
Yes, right. We were there right through. We were there when President Roosevelt died. That was, I think it was sometime in April of 45.
45, yeah.
45. And we had a lot of Italian civilians there working on our base. Well, in the southern part of Italy, we were like, our base was in Toronto, Italy, and it's in the instep of the boot of Italy. Yeah. So you can't get much further south. In fact, the northern part of the country considered that as Africa.
Yeah.
They were the undesired or whatever. But anyway, no, they were all good people, and they worked there. And the day that word got around, oh my God, you think it was their own parents or their own fathers that died or something. They just come right out and wept over it because they knew that what he's doing is saving their country and all the rest of them.
That's interesting.
They just wept right out there. I couldn't
and then,
believe it.
All right, so now it's Roosevelt died, and then how long the war ended, right?
The war ended, we heard it May the 6th. And I don't think it was given out until either the 7th or the 8th officially.
I see.
We knew it because everything at Germany had finally surrendered. Yeah. And so we knew it was over for us. It was like the 6th. And so now it's all done. Hey, we don't have to go wallow around in the mud out there in the bomb dumps and all the rest of the work that went on.
So now you're getting points to come home.
Yeah,
huh?
well, we didn't expect to be home, well, not as quick as they did. Maybe in a month or two, because we had to probably disassemble the whole field or be part of it or something. Yeah. The 14th of May, that's only 8 days after it was over, we were heading to chow like we do all the time, 11:30 in the morning, nothing else to do much, and the orderly comes running out of the office, you know. Okay, everybody in the 720th Bomb Group here, back to your barracks. Well, we didn't have barracks, but we all built our own little, I had a little house built. We built it ourselves, me and another guy, and back to your barracks. Anyway, it was, we're leaving. This is 11:30 in the morning. The planes are going to be in here at 1 o'clock to pick us up, fly us to Naples. The USS America, which was converted to a troop ship, that's the big boy American Airline, or the Fleet Line. Yeah. And trucks will be ready there off of the field in Naples, down to the docks, onto the ship. And we left the pier at 5 o'clock that same afternoon.
That same afternoon.
That same afternoon. As long as I was in service, and it never moved anything like that. It was always hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait.
So, gee, within a day you were on your way home.
Oh, yeah, less. From 11:30 that morning, in fact, muskets all went in the air and says, whoa, of course, everybody is excited. We all packed our toothbrush and...
How long were you overseas, actually, in time?
Well, from December of 43 to May of 45.
Oh, it's quite a long spell.
Yeah, it was a good spell.
All right, so you took off for home.
Yeah, we took off for home. There's 11,000 of us on that ship. Now, here comes old Dad. Come on.
Go ahead.
So
you're on your way home. 11,000 men on that ship.
Yeah, we're on our way home. It took us 30 days to cross going over because you can only go as fast as the slowest freighter in the convoy, and everything was slow. So this now it can take off on its own. In 5 days, we're back at Newport News in Virginia. That's where we left from. We're back there, but then we find out why were we rushed so. We were picked, well, they did give us a 10-day furlough after we were back, and we're going to a B-29 base. We'll study there or work on that for probably a couple of weeks to acclimate ourselves, you know.
They're gonna send you to Pacific?
Yeah, we're heading for the Pacific. I said, oh,
I
whoopee.
I see.
We're heading for the Pacific. He says, well, what's got to be done has to be done, so we're ready to go. We get out, Pueblo, Colorado. That was a B-29 base. And, well, we got there, and we're like lost souls. Nobody really knew what to do. We got into barracks, and we got down for a couple of days. We were down on the field, looking over most of it. But then, all of a sudden, everything came to a screeching halt. What do we do? Do anything you want to do. You go to town, go, but just come back. Don't
Don't take off for home.
Don't take off. Well, they already got word. The atomic bomb was in fact, it was built in Alamogordo where we were based.
I see.
But it was going on because we knew out in the white sands of Alamogordo, that's where all of this was going on. That there was, we lived there in November of '42, and there was this activity starting out in the white sands. What they doing out there's nothing but just mounds and mounds of white sand, you know. But that's where they're testing.
All right, so then the bomb was dropped, so the war was over on September 2nd. They signed the peace thing on Missouri.
September, yeah.
On
Well,
September
it was
2nd.
over in August 25th or 26th,
right.
something like that. That they did.
They surrendered, but the
surrendered,
signing took place on September 2nd.
Right.
We had 4 guys on the Missouri, actually, in Hoosick Falls. All right, what else?
Well, so we had a heck of a time and this is in June, about the middle of June of '45. We had nothing to do. If our pay had only caught up with us, we had more fun.
You would have had more fun, right?
All this rushing around, everything, all our papers and everything were left. They would catch up to us. They always said, "Oh, they'll catch up." But
so when did you get discharged then? Finally,
we got discharged September, about 2 weeks after.
Right after the war ended in Japan.
About the 10th of September, I think, or.
Then you were discharged from the service?
Discharged, yeah. We had to come back to our induction center. What was it?
Dix, Devens?
Dix. Yeah.
All right, so you came back, got discharged, and off you went to Hoosick Falls,
Off I went to Hoosick Falls.
All right, now what happened to you after the war in Hoosick Falls?
I got back here. Now I got to look to settle down as a civilian again. Of course, the war had just ended. There wasn't anything much going on. In fact, all the munition places or government work all the military work was just came to a screeching halt. So I ended up for a year, just about a year. Well, I said, I'll go over to Woodflong. It was in my backyard. I lived on Oakley Avenue at that time. So I said, at least it's close by until we find out what's what, or what I'd like to do. And I was there a little less than a year, but I says, this isn't for me. I says, I got to look further. So anyway, in the meantime, M.D. Kincaid and Sons, there was a plumbing outfit.
Yeah, right. A lot of guys worked there.
Yeah, and so I went down to see him, and okay, they were ready to take on anyone that had.
Quite a few guys have mentioned they went to work for Kincaid.
Yeah. There was 13 of us working there. That was the high mark because he was the only plumber left that was active
in the Hoosick Falls,
in the village and surrounding.
All right, you worked for him and
worked there 10 years, and I said, well, I don't know, things weren't progressing very fast. So I said, geez, maybe I ought to try it on my own, see what I can do with it myself. So myself, and I says, well, alone isn't too good. So there was a little guy there, Louis Ornick. He had worked for Kincaid about the same length of time I was, and he was into the oil burners, and I had the plumbing, and I had everything else, and so we went at it. So there we did. We started up the
And that's what you did until you retired.
And that's what I did until I retired.
All right, now you got married when?
Got married in May the 6th of 1950.
I see. And
So in fact, our anniversary is coming up this year. I always joke.
your 50th, or
Huh?
how many years? When did you get married? In 50.
1950.
Oh, so it'll be 50 years.
Yeah, I said,
Yeah, great.
at least if I got married on an even number, a half of the century,
Yeah, right.
I never have to count back, you
Right.
know, how long.
So this year will be your 50th. How many
Yeah.
children did you have, Ted?
We had 4. Girl was first, and then 3 boys
I see.
followed. Best kids in the world. Never an ounce of problem, trouble, or
That's
anything.
great. That's
and
wonderful.
to this day, anything going on, they're all right there to help.
Real good family. That's what
Oh,
counts.
It couldn't
Yeah, I
be
knew your
better if
kids
you
when
had
they were
the
in school and
choice
so
of
forth.
picking them.
Yeah, right. Well, that's great. Now, is there anything else you'd like to say about the service or about Hoosick Falls before we call this a take?
What could I say about Hoosick Falls? I've lived here all my life. I always worked for the village, whatever was going on, and I try to work for the people in the village. Well, I was in the village board for a dozen years, and I always try to swing anything
Right.
that was beneficial to John Q. public out there, the
Yeah,
taxpayer.
And we've got a good picture of your life, and we thank you very much for coming. It was a
Oh.
great story,
Oh,
and
you're welcome.
thanks again.